Welcome you all, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Lynn Miller-Pease, I'm the CEO of Leadership Everyone, and we've got a treat for you. Leadership Everyone has been around for 41 years. We're diverse servant leaders transforming community, and we do amazing things. We have wonderful students who learn about servant leadership. They go about the community transforming and making amazing things happen. As we have grown, one of the things that we found out we needed to learn how to do better was not only just raise awareness of servant leadership and do things, but we had to figure out a way to really make fund development happen for our organization. And this is where we are so blessed by the people. We just are really rich with people. One of the people in our history is Mike Hinton. And Mike is one of the people that, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to describe to you how amazing this man is. But he's the guy that when you come in, you feel better. He's the guy that when he makes a commitment, he commits and he really helps. And through the years, I really look at Mike as one of my mentors. And in the last couple of years, I asked him if he would help us figure out how to make our organization stronger, not just by me learning from him, but by a number of people learning from him. So we formed this amazing development committee, and Mike came over and he taught us, this small group of people, how he does fund development, and he's just got an amazing way. What we want to do now is not only teach you that are in the audience, but we're going to take a video of this so that we can share this with anybody who wants to learn how do you do fund development, how do you do fundraising when you're not a professional, when you haven't necessarily gone to school for it, or you just because you love the organization. So I'm so excited to introduce Mike Hinton. He is going to come and teach us his version of how to do fund development. Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And she actually introduced that perfectly, because what you're going to hear from is not at all a fundraising professional. I don't have a canned presentation that I take around the city or the country or anything and try to show people how to do it. I'm sharing with you what I've learned that helps me when I'm called upon to do fundraising work for organizations or for causes that I care about and believe in. I got into this, and most of what you're going to learn from me is what I learned from a gentleman who recruited me to Old National Bank 100 years ago, or almost that long ago, back in 1980. And his name was Richard Schlotman. That's a name which probably doesn't ring a bell for most of you, but I'll tell you, many of the things that you enjoy about our community are there because Dick Schlotman got out and led the effort to raise the money to make them take place. So if you were going to work for him, you were going to get involved in community activities, you were going to raise money, and he was going to hold you accountable to do what you said you'd do. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be sharing with you. So let me ask you, anybody feel anxious about asking for money? Anybody? Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. I dare say you're not going to find anybody that you work with who doesn't share your anxiety about the idea that my job's going to be to go do this. But the key is to take anxiety and turn it into passion, turn it into desire to get that job done. So let's talk about how that might happen, because that's a big key. First thing is, these pictures are of happy results of fundraising efforts. These happen to be pictures from Mickey's Kingdom. I got to work with Jeff Perdue on that. Jeff was a co-leader and was phenomenal. It was a huge community project. Some big asks had to be made. And in the end, this is why we all enjoy, ultimately, doing what we need to do so that our community has these kind of blessings. The very first point, remember your inspiration. Before you can do anything else, before you can start at all, remember your inspiration. And by that I mean, why are you involved? So we're talking about LE right now. So why involved in LE? There's lots of good answers you could have for that, but I'd start with there's not an organization, a company, a service provider, a government entity that doesn't have someone integral to that organization who's an LE graduate, who's been influenced by LE, and who is performing as well as he or she is because of what they got from LE. So very few organizations are able to infiltrate our entire society, our entire community, like LE is. That's worth asking for people's support. I have no trouble with that. So remember your inspiration and develop your elevator speech. I just gave you a quick one that I would use in talking about LE. But make it your own. Make it in a short fashion. Here's why I'm here, and here's why this is important. So remember your inspiration. When you talk to a prospect, they very well may have other things that they tell you that they're interested in. Okay, there's not just one good cause in a community, and if there is, it's not a very good community. So that's okay. What you need to help them understand is why this needs to be on their list of interests as well. You don't have to replace the thing that they tell you that they're interested in, but it doesn't have to make you strike out in terms of getting them interested in this also. And our job is not really to convince them that this is important. We need to think of it more that we're helping them realize that they also believe this is important. So when I use that elevator speech and talk to you about what LE does, I'm already capturing, oh yeah, I can see that. I understand that's important as well. Next point, critically important. When you become involved, when you accept in a campaign, okay, I'm assigned these calls, this is what I'm supposed to do, and to ask these individuals or organizations to make a contribution, do it now. I promise you, procrastination is habitual. If you put it down and think, I'm gonna wait, I'll get to it later, later never comes. You gotta do it now. Think about it and chunk it out. Okay, so I've got 8 calls that I'm supposed to make. Block time on your calendar and put it down. This is when I'm gonna make the calls to get appointments. And make sure you have more than one day to make those calls, because you know as well as I do, you're gonna get a no answer or a voicemail or something like that. And when you say, I'm calling for this, that's not gonna be necessarily the call that they return quickly. Okay, let's just be honest. So be prepared. You're gonna call again the next day, but set that block of time. I'm gonna get my appointments in this time. Now, you've already set yourself up for not procrastinating because you have appointments on your calendar to go visit with these prospects. Do it now. Get engaged. If we procrastinate, if we wait, then it becomes harder and harder to start. We're already embarrassed that we're behind, and it just becomes that bad dog that we want to avoid. So do it now. Next point, in spite of what you think is anxiety, be positive. If you've ever played a sport, if you've ever been on stage or been a performer, what do you get? You're a little anxious about the start of that game or performance. We call it butterflies. And the best performers have those butterflies. It's the same thing. we're doing this job, and it's natural to have the butterflies, but be positive, be confident. The first sale that you have to make is yourself. So use positive talk to yourself about what you're going to do, why it's important, and why I'm the right person to be asking for this. When you see individuals that you're asking to contribute, remember those individuals like you. I mean, you got to that place because they like you. In all probability, they've been givers to organizations in the past, and they want to be able to support things that are important and good. So be positive, be confident in that. When you go see a prospect, have a specific dollar target in mind. Don't go in there and just say, I hope you'll give. Have a specific target. Ideally, you will have done the research to qualify those prospects and know pretty much what level of giving they're likely to be able to take on. So ask and ask at the top. Asking for a lot of money is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Have high expectations. The higher the ask, the higher the gift. If you go in and ask for something low, then you may get a real quick answer of yes, but you probably have not gotten what you could have gotten. When I was working with Jeff, and we were working on Mickey's Kingdom, I told the committee a lot of times I'm asking for $100,000, and I did, almost universally. Didn't often get $100,000, but if I got $50,000, that's pretty successful. That's a good thing. And nobody was insulted about that big ask. Not one time did somebody say, are you crazy? There's no way I could consider that. But we did end up negotiating to something. So ask, and ask for big, significant gifts of prospects who are capable. Mention peer companies. If I'm asking German American Bank for a contribution, who do I want to reference in that ask? Ideas? Old National, Fifth Third. Because who are they interested in about, well, how much is so-and-so giving? How much is Old giving? How much is Fifth Third giving? And if you've gotten a commitment from one, you're golden. Because now going in and asking for that and being able to say, yes, I'm asking you for $50,000 and Old National has already committed at that level, man, you got it, okay? And that's not wrong. It's perfectly okay. In fact, if you're going to make that call and we don't have a commitment from a peer company, I always say we've asked Old National for $50,000 as well. So they know that we're asking at that level. You look, if you have a page like this, and this happens to be Leadership Evansville supporting organizations, and when you set that down in front of a prospect who's not on this list, and they see that's the company that they're in, that's the population of organizations who count this as valuable, as important in our community, that's a real positive thing. One of the best things that you can do is get individuals from companies or prospects involved in the organization. And maybe they won't end up going through the LE class, but there's lots of ways to do it. We've talked about Mickey's Kingdom. Again, it was a great example of fundraising, and the community build, companies who were supporting got their employees to go and participate in it, and those employees became, they were great voices for how wonderful this thing was, And not only did it become a financial contribution, but it became something which built loyalty and interest and enthusiasm among employees of those companies. So they got a gift back by what they gave. United Way doesn't have Day of Caring for just the reason that, it's each of those member organizations is waiting for someone to come and see. They're doing it because if they can get community people and donor organizations there to see firsthand the work that those organizations do, then they become even more enthusiastic about giving. Those are just examples. But think of your own ways that you can help invite someone to participate and become familiar with your organization. If you're going to be a leader in the fundraising, if you're going to head a team, holding your team accountable can't be overemphasized. And if you are on a team, you ought to expect your leader to be holding you accountable. And when you go to a report meeting, any of you ever done this? Have you had responsibility to make calls? You go to your first report meeting, you haven't done it yet. You haven't gotten started. And so now you're thinking about, how can I spin this so that I don't embarrass myself? You're going to embarrass yourself, because I'm here to tell you BS stinks. And everybody smells it. Everybody in that room. So just be honest. Tell the truth about where you stand. If you haven't gotten started, say, I haven't gotten started and I don't feel good about that, but I promise you this, I will be done through this stage at the next meeting, and then go back to do it now and start again right there. If you're not going to do it, if you're not, you won't or you can't, then say it. Because the worst thing that happens in a fundraising campaign is for someone to sit there holding valuable prospect names that don't get called on until the campaign's over. If you're not going to do it, just own up and make sure those cards get into hands of someone who will do it. But most importantly, I know all of you, and you're going to do the job, so commit to it and be honest in report meetings about where you are and what you're doing. If you're a leader, then lead by example. Then it's more important than ever that you do just what we talked about. Do it now. Be on pace with the calls that you are making. And most of all, have fun. As we've talked about, the glory in a successful campaign at the end, for all of us who have invested time and energy in doing that, is exhilarating. When you go and you see kids playing on that playground at Mickey's Kingdom, when you name the cause and go see the results, and there are happy volunteers who are rewarded by the participation they had in getting that job done. So have fun.
Mike, thank you so much. We sure appreciate the time that you've given us. And we would encourage all people, if you believe in a cause, whether it's Leadership Everyone or another one, don't hesitate. You don't have to be a professional at this. And sometimes I think we even do better, Mike, don't you agree, if we're not? I mean, just the fact that you love it so much and can tell that story, and that you'll put yourself out there. If you're really nervous, go with somebody else that's done it before and is used to doing it. It's amazing. And we just want to encourage all people. Part of servant leadership is helping build what you believe in. And when you can look at something that became partially yours, because you had a shared vision with other people and you were willing to give your time and your talent and get a little bit of time and talent from other people and encourage them to join up. It feels incredibly good. And I will tell you, I will never forget the first time I got a yes. I was asked to call somebody it was Marge Donovan. It was the first time. And I called her to find out if she would sponsor somebody to go through Leadership Evansville. And my boss said, ask her for half the tuition. And I told her about the person and how amazing Jenny was. And Marge said, well, how much does the class cost? And I told her, and at that time, I think it was like $1,500. And she goes, well, I'll just write you a check for that. So I got higher than what I thought. And I thought, that's it. That really feels good because I got to see this woman who never would have been able to go through LE. And I saw Marge's face when she met her, and I was sold. I thought from here on out, I'm so glad to do it, right, Mike?
Yes.
So thank you for teaching.
May we go off script one little
Yes,
thing?
we
Because she
can.
reminded me of something that's so critical. So she went on this ask, and she got a yes right out of the box. Awesome. But what if you get a no? What if you're facing a reluctance to say yes? You know, if I went with Lynn, I might have said, Marge, we're doing at Leadership Evansville classes, and we really would love to have your participation. And I'm asking you would think about a commitment of $1,500, which is the cost of a class. Would you let me tell you how we would recognize you if you would give at that level?
Okay.
And then if she says yes, great. If she says no, then can you tell me what level might be of interest to you and that you might be able to take on? And when you've asked that, what do you do after you ask?
Shut up.
Shut up. Next person to speak loses. Okay? Let them answer even if it takes a little bit. Because all you need is, okay, I can do that. Or, I just don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And then it's, I understand. So can you tell me what level you might be comfortable contributing at? And now you've gotten into a conversation with them. So good job. You were successful on number one.
Yes. Yeah, number 2 and 3 took a little more work. But we don't give up once we realize what we can do. And we believe in it, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Mike, thanks again.
Thank you,
Ellie
Lynn.
and the community
bet.
appreciate you so
Thank you.
much.